هذا رمضان شهر صفاء الروح فيه الإحسان والأنوار تلوح هذا رمضان.
The author said, and the greatest of sins is blasphemy with all its different types. What does this mean? It means the greatest sin a person may commit is blasphemy, as the author said. The greatest sin a person may commit is blasphemy with all its types. Then he said, rahimahullah, the worst type of it in sin and in deserving of the severest torment is ta'til, atheism. So what does he mean by the severest torment, the severest torture in hellfire? So the worst type of it in sin and in deserving of the severest torment is ta'til, atheism. What is atheism? Now he will explain. He said, which is denying the existence of Allah, the Mighty and Great. So the worst type of blasphemy, which one would be admitted to the severest torture in hellfire because of it, is atheism. That is, in Arabic, ta'til. What is ta'til or atheism? It is to deny the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the one who would die as atheist, he deserves the severest torture in hellfire. He would be admitted to the severest torture in hellfire. That's the meaning of what the author said. So out of all types of blasphemy, atheism is the worst in sin and in deserving the severest torture in hellfire. That's the meaning of what we just read. Let's continue. Then he said, and the ugliest type of it, in reference to it being an exit from the truth and a digression from it to what is invalid, meaning to falsehood, is apostasy, riddah. What does that mean? So we said that the worst type is atheism. But then he said the ugliest type of it, of blasphemy, in reference to what? In reference to it being, and he is now speaking about apostasy, riddah. What is riddah? An exit from the truth and a digression from it to what is invalid. From the truth to falsehood. So this is, what's the meaning of this? It is for one to blaspheme, meaning he was Muslim and he committed type of the blasphemy that we will mention now. Then he is a murtad. He committed riddah, apostasy, meaning he left Islam, he left the truth to blasphemy, wal-'iyadhu billah. This is what he meant by ugliest type. It means in reference to it being an exit from the truth and a digression from it to what is invalid, to falsehood. And then he continues to say, and that is why the scholars refer to apostasy as the most abhorrent type of blasphemy for the aforementioned reasons. Which means that apostasy is so ugly. That is, someone was on the right path, he was on Islam, he left the truth, and he resorted to falsehood. Wal-'iyadhu billah. He shifted from the truth to blasphemy, to falsehood. That is one thing. Another thing is that he loses all the rewards that he gained. Let's continue. Then he said, apostasy is of three categories. Convictions in the heart. The one who believes in any of these convictions would apostatize and blaspheme. That is one category. The second, as you can see on the screen, sayings, which is by the tongue. The one who utters any of them would apostatize from the religion. The third category is actions by the organs. The one who does any of them would apostatize, and each category divides into many branches, that is, divisions. We will speak about them, inshallah, very soon, and we will give examples for every division. The author said, among the examples of the first category of apostasy, that is, the apostate convictions, now we will start speaking about the first category, that is, the apostate convictions. He said, the first example is, he said, is the doubt in the existence of Allah. So this is blasphemy. If a person has doubt in the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal, he is not Muslim, he is not a believer. Allah Ta'ala said, أَفِي اللَّهِ شَكْ, which means there is no doubt in the existence of Allah. That is one example. Then he said, or his oneness. Same thing applies. Which, if one has doubt in the oneness of Allah, he is also, he is not a Muslim. Then he said, or his justice. Same thing. If he has doubt in the justice of Allah. Then he said, likewise, is the doubt in the reality of his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or in the reality of the Quran. Same thing. This is apostasy, walayadu billah. And denying an attribute of Allah that is necessary to be attributed to him by consensus. Now he will mention the terms, the wordings of the 13 attributes, which we have mentioned their meanings in the previous slides, right? We explained all the meanings of the 13 attributes of the self of Allah. Now he will list them. Let's read them. He said, there are 13 attributes that the nation has consensus about the obligation of knowing them, as we explained. What are they? Let's see. They are existence, al-wujud, eternity, al-qidam, everlastingness, al-baqa, oneness, al-wahdaniyah, non-neediness of others, al-qiyamu bin-nafs, non-resemblance to the creation, al-mukhalafatu lil-hawadith, life, al-hayat, knowledge, al-ilm, will, al-mashi'ah, power, al-qudrah, hearing, al-sama', sight, al-basar, and speech, al-kalam. These 13 attributes were mentioned repeatedly in Al-Quran, either explicitly or implicitly. And as we said, the Prophet ﷺ was keen to let everyone hear about these 13 attributes. When we mentioned, this is how the scholars deduced that it is an obligation upon every accountable person to know about these 13 attributes. The author said, and among the examples of apostasy is attributing to Allah what is necessary to clear him from by consensus. What does that mean? Such as, let us give an example, such as to ascribe to Allah a body, or to ascribe to Allah sitting, or form, or image. All of these are examples of apostasy. And now he will mention these things. He said, glorified is he, like a body, sitting, form, image, shape, color, limit, ignorance, inability, need, and injustice. All these do not befit Allah Azza wa Jal. So one must clear Allah from these attributes. The one who ascribes to Allah any of these attributes or the like commits blasphemy. These are attributes of the creation. So the one who ascribes any of these attributes to Allah, this is riddah, this is apostasy. Let's continue. He said, and among the examples of apostasy is belying any prophet among the prophets of Allah, or belittling him by ascribing to him deficiency and despicable attributes. Anyone who belies any of the prophets is a blasphemer. Any of them. Prophet Muhammad or Prophet Jesus or Prophet Moses, any of them. Likewise, the one who attributes an abhorrent attribute to any prophet, such as ignorance or acting without wisdom, also he blasphemes. The author said, now he's continuing with listing more examples about the first category, that is the apostate convictions. He said, another example is the denial with knowledge, that is, the rejection and contradiction of a matter known in the religion by necessity. What does that mean? Now, the denial with knowledge in Arabic, that is al-juhud, jahada, to deny with knowledge. Then he explained it. He said, as you can see, the rejection and contradiction of a matter known in the religion by necessity. So, an example of blasphemy is to deny with knowledge what? to reject, contradict a matter known in the religion by necessity. What does this mean? What does a matter known in the religion by necessity mean? So, a matter known in the religion by necessity, it means a matter that the scholars, knowledgeable people, and lay Muslims, they both alike, they are aware of the judgment of this matter. They both know about this matter, right? So, we have many examples, which we are going to mention now. So, again, the definition of a matter known in the religion by necessity is that the scholars, knowledgeable people, and lay Muslims, they both are aware about this matter. Whether it's an obligation, or whether it's a prohibition, or something lawful or unlawful, or permissible or disliked. So that's the meaning of a matter known in the religion by necessity. Okay. Then he continues, that is a matter that is related to what is lawful, unlawful, recommended, disliked, or permissible, or some religious information about the past or the future, known by the knowledgeable and the lay Muslims alike, that the Prophet ﷺ came with it. That is what we just explained. He just defined and explained the meaning of a matter known in the religion by necessity. معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. That's how we express it in Arabic. Then he continues, and that this matter is not something unknown to the person, and that this matter is not something unknown to the person. So again, what would be an example of a matter known in the religion by necessity? For example, the obligation of the 5 obligatory prayers. This is something knowledgeable people know about its obligation, and lay people know about its obligation. So this is something known in the religion by necessity. That's an example. Another example would be the permissibility of marriage. Also, this is something known among the scholars, knowledgeable people, and the lay people. The permissibility of buying and selling. Everyone knows that this is permissible, to buy and sell. So these are examples of what? Of matters known in the religion by necessity. أمور معلومة من الدين بالضرورة. But he mentioned that the person who denies this thing is now continuing. He said, and that this matter is not something unknown to the person. What does that mean? Let us say if one embraces Islam recently and he never heard of this judgment before, and he denied it out of being unaware of the judgment, not out of stubbornness, not that he knows the judgment and he is denying it. No, he just embraced Islam, he never heard about this judgment, so he denied it. He does not commit blasphemy, rather we teach him. Okay, so this is the meaning of what he just said, and that this matter is not something unknown to the person. That is, it is not unknown to the one who denied it, that it is part of the religion of Islam. Being unknown to one is like the one who recently embraced Islam, the example that I just gave, and never heard that this was something the religion came with. The author rahimahullah said, and among other examples of apostasy, so still the author is giving more and more examples about the first category, that is the apostate beliefs, convictions. What did he say? And among other examples of apostasy is denying the destiny of Allah by believing in the occurrence of a physical entity, mass, or a deed of the heart, or a deed of an organ that is not in compliance with the will of Allah, the Mighty and Great, and without His destining and creating. For that would be blasphemy. We seek refuge with Allah. If someone says about anything that happens, whether good or bad, whether it is a deed of the heart, a deed of the organ, or whether it is a physical entity, as he just mentioned, if someone says about anything that it occurs without the destiny of Allah Azza wa Jal, then one blasphemes. This is blasphemy. Why? Because if one were to claim that something happened which Allah did not will for it to happen, that would mean he is attributing weakness to Allah Azza wa Jal, as if he is saying something happened against the will of Allah. That is the meaning of what he said. As if he is saying someone other than Allah willed for it to happen and created it. وَلَيَّاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Let me give you an example. Let's pretend an example. If someone asks, for example, another person blaming him. Someone came to another person, he is blaming him. He told him, why didn't you do such and such matter? I told you to do this. Why you didn't do it? The other person, he replied, he answered him saying, Allah did not will for me to do it. Everything occurs with the destiny of Allah. So the first one became very angry and he says, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, well, I act without the will of Allah. Or he says, I act without the destiny of Allah. This is blasphemy. This is an example of what we just explained. Let's continue. And among them, meaning the examples of the first category, is to have in the heart the determination to blaspheme in the future, whether near or far. If a person has determination to blaspheme after 1 month, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, this is blasphemy. He blasphemes. Or 1 year, or 100 years. This is blasphemy, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And likewise, being hesitant about it. That is, whether to blaspheme or not. Or, also another example is, another case in which he would commit blasphemy is if he does it, is to make committing blasphemy contingent upon something. How? Like, if a person says, if this happens, I would leave Islam. For example, if one says, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, if the Muslims did not help me, I'm gonna blaspheme. Or if this person did not do this and this to me, I'm gonna blaspheme. This is also blasphemy. He's making something contingent committing blasphemy contingent upon something. This is also blasphemy. He continues to mention more examples. He said, among them, meaning the examples, is the creed of dwelling, that is the belief of incarnation. In Arabic, al-hulul. By believing that Allah dwells in things, that is the creed of dwelling. And another belief, he said, and the belief of the so-called absolute oneness, al-wahdatul mutlaqa, by believing that Allah is the Word and the Word is Allah. Both beliefs are among the worst types of blasphemy. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Some people, you might be shocked to hear this, some people who claim to be Sufis, they have these things, these creeds, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, this belief. They believe that Allah Ta'ala dwells in people. And as we mentioned, this is among the worst types of blasphemy. The worst type of blasphemy, as we mentioned, is atheism. And these two are among the worst type of blasphemy. So the creed of dwelling and the so-called absolute unification, these two types of blasphemy are amongst the worst types of blasphemy. But as we mentioned, the worst is atheism.
هذا رمضان شهر صفاء الروح فيه الإحسان